How to start visual note taking on your iPad in Procreate, Part 2. Hi, I'm Hayley, Chief Doodler at Thoughts Drawn Out. I'm all about getting creativity working so I can help you to make your mark. Hi friends, so building on from my last tutorial video where we started looking at how you can take visual notes or sketchnote on your iPad in Procreate, so ditching the notebook, going digital. So in part 1 we started from the basics. We looked at which iPad, what material, what app. We got the app open, we looked at some basic navigation. Now today we're really going to start a sketchnote. So I'm going to talk through the kind of components, how I'm building them, what I'm doing, and you're going to follow along. So let's go. Okay, so here we are picking up from our last lesson. We are in Procreate. I've got a brand new canvas set up. I've turned on the canvas, the grid, so that I've got a drawing guide happening. I've selected my inking pen. I've got it on black. I'm working on it at about 15% as a size for a title, and I'm on my first layer. Just leaving the background white at the moment. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so not perfect, but just to give you an indication of getting a title across the top in my handwriting, roughly using the grid pattern to guide the size and shape. I like to make mine imperfect and get some variation happening in there. So that would be one. Now if I wanted to, I could come back through and I could up that size a little bit and go over that again just to round it out a little bit more. What I like, if you trace it a second time, is you'll get higher variance because you won't follow the lines exactly. That's something I like to do. Okay, now because that title is sitting on one layer, if I do want to resize that, I can select the content of this layer and I can literally change the shape. Now you will notice that because I am on freeform, I can kind of distort that. If you want to, and I can just unselect it and undo to go back to where I was. If I want to keep the dimensions, then I just need to come over here onto uniform, and then when I stretch it out, it will keep it the same. It will just make it bigger. And then I can, you'll see that yellow line, that means because I've got snapping turned on down here, that's snapping to the center of the page. So I can unselect that. I've got a title, I'm happy, I'm ready to go. So then if I want to start my first piece of content, I'm first going to add a new layer. Now if I want to, I can come down here, I can click on that title, I can go rename, and I can name that layer. So if I end up with a lot of layers in here later, it's easy to tell if I want to jump in and change something. So if I come above, maybe the first thing I want to put here, my first note is about canvas size. So I'm going to add my text. I'm going to add my icon. Now if I want to keep that, maybe I don't know how many points I'm going to have yet. I don't know exactly what size I want them all to be. So I want to be able to change them independently. So I'm going to come up a layer before I go to my next most important point. So I've added my text. Again, to illustrate that, I might just want to get a nice kind of rough grid pattern happening as my illustration for that. I'm going to come up another layer now for my next point. Now you'll notice as I did those lines, I drew it, and let me undo and show you that again. I drew it and then I held the stylus there, which means it's going to turn it into a straight line, and I can then adjust the size and length of that and it will be straight. Same with a circle. If you draw a circle and hold it, it will snap into a circle, or at least an oval, and then you can change it up here. Undo that. Okay. So this one has ended up being a little bit smaller than that one, so I'm going to select it and just stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to come back to this second one here and I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to, so then they're nice, evenly placed on my canvas. I'm happy with the size, the text. I've got a bit of a pattern happening here. I can keep going and adding points. Okay, so this is just a bit of a pattern of very basic pattern of content where I've numbered each point, I've summarized my key point, and then I've put a little icon to illustrate each point. So this might be the content that I'm happy with. You've seen that I kind of adjusted the size and placement of each of those, which I can do simply because each one is on its own layer. Now, in terms of a sketch note, this technically is done. You don't need to add anything else. However, chances are you probably want to add some color. So this is where I recommend you either have to have perfectly drawn these shapes so that you can drop fill, or my preference is to always come in underneath. I like to grab the painting tool, a round brush, and let's just pick a color here. And I will literally, oh, that one's probably a bit dark with the black. I'll bring it over here, make it paler. That's better. And just color in. The reason being, you have some more flexibility if you want to come back through and add effects over the color that you don't want to affect the outline. Also means that you can have a little bit of a mismatch between your color and the outline. You don't have to have perfectly closed the outlines up, which I quite like that effect. You can kind of do an imperfect color in, which can be nice. Sometimes you can over color as well, just a different effect depending on what you like the look of. It also means if you're underneath the shape, if I come under one more time and grab just a pale yellow, I can then quickly come through and create a little frame for each one. So I colour that in so it looks like a white page and the frame sits underneath. So if I want to come through, it's not locked onto the same layer as that drawing, so I can maybe test whether I like it or not. So I can play around by turning the layer on and off. So it means you can kind of play with some style stuff. You just have to make sure that when you come back and draw that you are on the correct layer. And then what you can do at the end, once you are happy with this, is you can merge layers down. So once you had all of that color underneath, you're happy with the placement, you're happy with the color, you can come in and go merge down, and now that content and all of those blues, as you can see here, are all sitting on the same layer. So I think if we leave it there for this lesson, that hopefully gives you enough to start getting a basic sketchnote together. You've got your app, you've got your canvas, you're using your pen, you're getting your text down, you're getting your pictures down, you're starting to play with some basic coloring in and some basic framing underneath. This should be plenty for you to play around with. And when we come back next time for the next lesson, I can add in some more complexity to start getting to some really beautiful sketchnoting design. Now, if you do want some further instruction on just sketchnoting itself, literally, how do I draw icons? How do I get handwriting that I like? I'm not going to be covering those here. This is very much about kind of taking sketchnoting and digitizing it. But if you do want to learn that, I do have other videos on this channel, or you can check out my Sketchnote Fundamentals course on the Thoughts Drawn Out website. And it literally steps you through from woe to go how to start sketchnoting, and it's focused on pen on paper, and then these videos here can help you take that digital if that's something that you want to do. So I hope you enjoyed this second step into visual note-taking on your iPad using Procreate. I hope you found it helpful and useful. If you still have questions, I would love to hear them. Please comment below what it is you would like me to cover in future tutorials. I think we will have at least one more in this series in order to get you going with visual note-taking or sketchnoting in this way, in a digital format. And if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. That's very helpful to me, and it means you don't have to miss any future Thoughts Drawn Out video goodness. Now we've reached the end, my friends, so you know what that means. It's time to get out there, go and make your mark.